Hello once again and welcome. For those of you who just joined, this event is dedicated to the STEM programs offered by KU Leuven. And of course, should you have any questions about the academic programs themselves, about the admissions criteria, about the intakes deadlines that you should be aware of, please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box, and we will be happy to take them after the initial presentation. So just to mention a final tip, if you want to request your certificate of attendance by Docsity, stay tuned. We will pop the link in the chat towards the end of the event. So without further ado, I would like to leave the floor to the Vice-rector. Thank you all so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you, Lavinia, and also from my part, of course, welcome to this event. What I'll do in 15 minutes is just give you a very general overview of KU Leuven. That's the kind of thing I'm good in. And then the more detailed information will be provided by people who are much more knowledgeable about these topics than I am. So I'll go share my screen and walk you through a presentation that gives you a general image of what KU Leuven is and what the city of Leuven is, because I think that's interesting for you. Just give me 1 second. So if everything is all right, you should now see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay, then we can move on. So KU Leuven, as you may know, is of course is located in the city of Leuven, Belgium. This is our town hall, the old medieval town hall. We are quite proud of that, to be honest. It's also quite beautiful, right in the center of town. Well, it's a small university town. It has about 100,000 inhabitants, and it has tens of thousands of students during the academic year. And that makes for a very lively atmosphere in a very pleasant environment, which is not car free, but which is car poor, and which is very pleasant to live in and to work in, honestly, with lots of medieval buildings, which are very nice, well maintained, I may say. Also lots of facilities for students to, do things other than study, go to the bar, have a beer, enjoy yourself. If you come and study in Belgium, well, it depends a little bit. Well, it's relatively cheap. That's something we can say. It depends a little bit on where you come from, on how cheap or how expensive it is. Tuition fees vary by program. And they can be different for EEA students and non-EEA students. So for students within the European academic area and outside of them. So these are the old numbers. They will go up a little bit this year due to inflation. But within EEA, it will be about 1,000 euros. If you come from outside, then it depends a little bit in which program you choose. And then it may vary between 1,000 and 7,000 euros. If you come to us, then you have to, of course, look for accommodation. Accommodation is not cheap in Belgium. Let's be honest about that. You have to, a room will cost you around 350 to 400 euros a month at the minimum, and it may be more expensive as well. Study materials are generally relatively cheap. That's not the big issue. So it's a couple of hundreds of euros per year that you will normally need to buy the necessary study materials, but accommodation may be expensive, but beer, fortunately, is relatively cheap. We are a big university. It is a university with about 60,000 students, about 10,000 staff. So it really is a big university, and that makes that we have quite a bit of facilities with respect to almost everything. There are quite a number of sports facilities. There are also cultural facilities. We will not go into detail about them, but if you have more questions, we are certainly willing to answer those. That's not a problem at all. Living in Belgium means that you live in the heart of Europe. It means good food. It means enjoyable cities. It means a team that participates this time again to the World Cup, but maybe we will not get as far as last time when we ended third, but we will see. Things can change. And so it's generally, Belgium is an enjoyable place to live. albeit that we have a temperate climate, and that makes, that means that we do have quite a bit of sunshine, especially in the last years, but we have the rainy day every so often. That's also true. What is a big advantage is, or an interesting thing to know about Belgium, is that it is really in the heart of Europe. So you can move quickly to London, to Paris, to Amsterdam, to Köln, to other cities, because they are all close to, we're close to all of them, in fact. And we are really a bit in the center of all of them. Our university is old. It's almost 600 years old, and it depends on when you come. But if you come in 2025, or if you would be still with us in 2024, 2025, you will be able to celebrate the 600th birthday of our university. And you can see that there are quite a few of famous people that were in Leuven during the first years of Leuven University. But of course, we are still a source. We think of innovative and revolutionary technology, AES encryption. For those who are computer nerds, they will know what this is about. For those who don't, you all have at least one phone or another apparatus in your pocket or near your pocket that uses AES encryption. And that was developed here at KU Leuven by Vincent Rijmen and Johan Dahmen. Just a couple of facts and figures. As I said, we have over 10,000 of staff. We have about 60,000 students, of which about 12,000 are international. So the city, the university, and the city of Leuven are truly international places, I would say now. The presence of a lot of people coming from abroad, not only students, by the way, but also researchers and staff, makes it really a quite lively community where you can meet people from different countries, different continents, and interact with them, learn from them, and they can learn from you. It is a highly ranked university, so we are proud of that, of course, that we are a university that has, a certain reputation when it comes to research and teaching. We are about number 42 in the Times Higher Education ranking, number 70 in the QS ranking. And in fact, we have a special reputation when it comes to innovation and technology, where we were, but the ranking is no longer published, number 1 for a couple of years in a row. With respect to education and internationalization, well, we are also a comprehensive university, so there is not a lot of things you can think of that you cannot study in Leuven. So one of these things is veterinary sciences. That's not present at our university, but apart from that, I think we really cover the field of sciences and humanities quite well. Nearly everything is present in one way or another. There are about 50 bachelor degrees, there are about 140 master degrees, 72 in English, and 5 bachelor degrees in English. So that's quite a couple of bachelor or master degrees to choose from, I would say. As we said, as I said, we have over 10,000 international students. They come from over 140 different countries. We have incoming and outgoing exchange students, of course, and we have agreements with a lot of international institutions in different countries. So our students come from all over the world, truly come from all over the world. They not only come from Europe, they come from the US, they come from India, they come from China, they come from Latin America. Only some countries in Africa are less well represented, but I think we can really say that we have a kind of a global coverage here. We are also a member of edX, which means that we also have a number of MOOCs which are present on the edX platform, but perhaps you are intending to come to Leuven to avoid to have to study MOOCs, so maybe that's not so relevant for you, but we are also active in that field. I'm going to tell you a couple of minutes, a little bit about research. I know that that's not, what you are after at this moment, but it just gives you an idea of what kind of a university we are. Huh? So big universities, they have, they have a big financial turnover in terms of money. For KU Leuven, that's about 550 million euros a year, which is quite a bit. And we award about 2 PhD degrees every working day. So it's really a big institution that is active in nearly every field of research that you can imagine. We're trying to do that well, and generally we are doing quite well. We get a lot of money from Europe, and in order to get that money from Europe, you have to write projects, and you have to write good projects. So there, we are certainly proud to be in the top 10 of, let's say, European universities that take part in European research programs of all different kinds. And we hope that we can continue to be of an excellent quality also in the future. That research, and that may be relevant to you, is also in collaboration with institutions all over the world. And you can see that here, also in Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, South Asia, there are really strong connections. And you may think that that is not relevant for you at the moment, perhaps, but if you come from a master degree, then it could become relevant, because you could enter into a collaboration with any of these institutions to make your master degree, depending, of course, on what you choose. We are a member of a lot of international networks. Now, that will not surprise you, and I will not deal with them in detail. I'm the Vice-rector of Science, Engineering and Technology. I'll talk only 2 minutes about that, just to give you an idea of what we do in this field. Well, you can compare I've been Vice-rector now for 6 years, so you can see what that does to you when you age 6 years in this job. We are a big group. It has 14 research departments, and we have 5 faculties that are responsible for most of the education efforts that we make. With respect to the educational system, that's all over the KU Leuven. That's the bachelor-master system that you know from the Bologna Agreement. So it's a 3 years bachelor, a 2 years master. You can enter the masters if you have the relevant bachelor degrees from another institution. That's no problem at all. But contrary to what you see at some American institutions, acquiring a master and PhD is separate at KU Leuven. It's a separate effort, if you like. We have about 20,000 students in science and technology. They study almost everything you can imagine. About 5,000 of them are international students. And as I said, they study almost everything that you can imagine. And I'm certainly not going to dwell on all these different study programs that we have. Most programs are also in English, so that they are fully accessible at the master level to international students. We have some Erasmus Mundus projects which are specifically focused on international collaboration in education. And I'm going to skip the doctoral school because that's not important, but what I still wanted to show you in a minute, I only have 1 minute, that is what we do with respect to innovation and tech transfer. We do a lot there. We collaborate with spin-offs in a lot of science parks at Leuven, but also at our other campuses spread over Flanders. But what is, I think, far more relevant, and that leads, of course, to a lot of spin-off companies, but what is far more relevant to you is that we also try to work with our students on entrepreneurship. We have something what is called KU Leuven KIC, which is specifically designed as the one-stop shop for those students, researchers, and professors that have questions related to entrepreneurial skills and entrepreneurship. So if you think about starting a company or working in a startup company later in your career, this may be a very interesting part of your experience when you would come to Leuven. We have some of those efforts which are really quite successful. The KU Leuven solar team builds a solar car every year, and they won the World Cup, if you like, last year, the World Championship last year. So what you see here is really the best solar car in the world, and it was built by our students, not by our professors. And we have, of course, other efforts which are probably a little bit less visible, where students really try to demonstrate and develop their entrepreneurship. So that's what I wanted to tell you as being a kind of a general overview of what KU Leuven is, what kind of university it is, what kind of city Leuven is. And I hope it gives you a first feel of the environment that may be yours if you would come to Leuven. And of course, we are looking forward to welcome all of you here in Leuven later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice-rector Govers. So I think we can leave the floor now to Victoriia.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that the information that was just shared by the Vice-rector has ignited your interest in studying at KU Leuven. And I would like to use the time and the following slides to to cover such topics as applying at KU Leuven and some general practicalities of studying and living at KU Leuven. So here we are. I hope everybody can see my screen now.
Yes, I confirm.
Yeah, all right, perfect. Thank you so much. So the first step of studying at KU Leuven would be, of course, to apply at KU Leuven for one of our programs. In general, the admission requirements comply with our Flemish government legislation, and there are equal opportunities of access to higher education for all students with degrees from Flanders and equal with degrees outside of Flanders. However, the actual requirements may vary by program, and it is best to consult the program description of a bachelor's or a master's degree of your interest in our online program guide. And at the moment, you can see the link to our online program guide on the slide. Generally, if you wish to apply for a master's degree, you would be expected to have a bachelor's diploma that lasted at least 3 years. If you're interested in one of our advanced master's programs, you would be generally expected to be in possession of a master's degree. And if you are interested in a doctorate program, you would need to find a professor, a supervisor at KU Leuven who would be guiding you through your doctoral research. But once again, do not hesitate to have a look at our online program guide. You will find exhaustive information there on applying at each of our programs and on such specific topics as language requirements for each program or any other certificates such as, for instance, GRE or GMAT that might be required to apply for the program. On each program description sheet, you will also find contact information per program, and you can use this information to reach out to the specific professor or staff member who is responsible for coordinating this the program of your interest. Now let's move on to the financial aspects of studying and living in Belgium. Our Vice-rector has already briefly covered this topic, and I would just like to add a couple of things on these matters. As you have heard, our tuition fees may vary not only by program, but also by the nationality. However, there is a very easy way to find out what your tuition fee could be based on your nationality and based on the program of your interest. You may easily navigate to our tuition fee calculator. You can also see the link on the slide. That will calculate your tuition fee for you for the academic year that you're interested in. We believe it will be academic year 2023-2024. And you will be able to see right away what tuition fee you will be expected to pay. As for living expenses, there are also, of course, many more expenses that might be expected on top of expenses for accommodation or study materials and so on. And to find out all possible financial commitments or expenses you might have, you may also navigate to the webpage on our website, Money Matters. You can also see it on the slide, and there you will find a detailed, not exhaustive, but a very detailed list of all potential expenses you will have while living and studying in Leuven specifically. Now, while talking about financial matters, it goes without saying that there are usually lots of questions about scholarships, any possibilities for financial aid while studying at KU Leuven. And unfortunately, we do not offer many scholarships. However, you may still have a look at a number of possibilities that you can see on the slide, as we, for instance, offer a number of mastermind scholarships to excellent students. However, the competition for these scholarships is very high, and the chance of receiving such a scholarship is quite slim. I must say, however, as you have seen previously, our tuition fees are rather affordable, and we believe that you will not end up in any financial trouble. However, do have a look at our scholarship possibilities. You might still find some opportunities on our website. And if you do still have any questions about tuition fees, about any other costs, or about applying at KU Leuven, do not hesitate to ask them away right after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And I think it's time for Ricardo to have his presentation. Welcome, and thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you very much. You should be able to see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
So good afternoon, everyone. You are probably wondering, how can you make your stay in Leuven pleasant and good since day one, and how is it to be a student at the KU Leuven as well? So after arriving in Belgium, there are a series of welcome activities to help you get to know KU Leuven, Belgium, and other people, even your classmates, a little bit better. For example, there is a welcome desk at the airport during the days when most of the students arrive, and this is a way to get to know your way through the city. So when you arrive, look out for the KU Leuven banner and the desk in the arrival hall at the Brussels airport. And after you have gone through your baggage claim, students in KU Leuven t-shirts will help you get orientated and guide you to where you need to travel in order to be in your campus, which train to take, and etc. There is also an orientation days activity, which is a special program to help students settle in during their first days in Belgium, and they're usually planned a week before the start of each semester. So, for example, in September and February, where there are intakes, and the good thing is that you might get to know a lot of people and make connections before starting the lectures, and also have a look at the city. Participation in this activity is free, except for certain activities and food. So we strongly advise that you participate in these activities in order to get like a good start of your academic adventure in Leuven. So there's also the body program, which helps you, which is a student that helps you, that guides you and welcomes you at the KU Leuven, and this is this student helps you find your way around the university, the city, and the campus. And you can request a personal buddy, which is a KU Leuven student, which can be a Flemish or an international student, who will answer all your practical questions. And most of the students will also introduce you to the Belgian habits and customs and life here as well. They provide answers to your questions and refer you to the right path to get your doubts solved. So in Leuven, in the city of Leuven, the body program is organized by the International Student Service, Pangaea. There is also a student welcome fair, which is mainly a party with information, concerts, and drinks, and you can meet a few people there and get a good grasp of what is life in Leuven. There's also a culture and a sports card. So the culture card is 20 euros, and you get discounts at all cultural hotspots in Leuven, like the tower at the University Library. Also get a free entrance at the M Museum in Leuven, which holds a collection of old and contemporary art and discounts on concerts as well that are being held in Leuven. And the sports card is, I believe, 30 euros and gives you access to all the sports facilities in the campus. And Pangaea is a meeting center for international students, and it is like a home away from home, because you can connect with people that are from your home countries and other countries there. So it's mostly international students that are always there, and you can gather, and they can also welcome you to help you integrate at the university. It also has a bar, and it's always full of activities like movie nights, karaoke nights, language tables, and also they organize visits to other cities during the weekends. And finally, each faculty has its own pub that is led by our student societies, and they're called fac bars. And they usually offer drinks that are at a cheaper price, and also organize activities and parties. So you can have a pleasant time here at the university as well. So if you have any questions about student life in Leuven, you can feel free to ask, and we will try to clear your doubts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. So I think we are at the very end of the presentation. So if we want, we can open the Q&A session. We did get some questions, mostly pertaining to scholarships. So I invite all participants to please type in the Q&A box if they have any further interests about the programs or about the admissions criteria, and we'll be happy to take them. In the meantime, I'll start by the question for Ricardo, actually. So a participant is asking, what program are you currently enrolled in? And if you plan on working in Belgium after you are done?
I am currently enrolled in the Mechanical Engineering Masters from the Faculty of Engineering Science. I'm currently on my second year. And yes, my intention is to find a job in Belgium or here and around the area in Europe. And as far as I know, because I've talked to colleagues, and there is at least for mechanical engineers, I would say there is a lot of opportunity. And yes, the university has also a very high reputation around Europe, so there is an opportunity for internationals to find a job here in Europe as well.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. So I will ask you a question, actually. I was wondering if you can perhaps walk us through your typical day as a KU Leuven student, and if you are enjoying any extra activities, for example, student clubs or anything of the sorts.
Yes, so I usually start with lectures during the morning, and during the afternoons I usually have a free schedule, but I'm working during my thesis right now, so I use that time to work on my thesis. And during the evenings I usually use the sports facilities, like I go to the gym or I play volleyball with a few friends. And during the weekends it's mostly at our faculty bar or another faculty bar. And yes, gather around with some friends. Leuven is a very active city, and there is always something to do. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. And to stay on the topic of your final thesis, are you being followed by a tutor, anyone guiding you on your projects?
Yes, usually it's a PhD student, which is your mentor, and there you also have a promoter, which is a professor. So it all depends on the project. But right now I have 3 mentors and 2 professors that are assisting me and counseling me with my thesis.
Thank you so much for answering my questions. So to move to the questions that we actually got in the Q&A box, as I mentioned, most of them are about the scholarships, and we will get back on those towards the end of the event. But in the meantime, a participant is asking if we can go over the programs once again, just to give any participants that connect later an insight into the academic offer. Victoria, I don't know if we can do that.
Yeah, I can share our online program guide where we can have a look at all the programs that are available to prospective students.
Perfect.
Let me first open the website. That should be it.
Thank you so much. And in the meantime, for all the participants that still have questions, please feel free to write in the Q&A box. We are here to help you. And if you have any doubts, we are more than happy to take your questions and to actually turn them into something useful. So hopefully it will help you with making up your minds about studying in Belgium, in Europe, or at KU Leuven specifically. And if you have any questions about the single programs specifically, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box and we'll be on top of them. In the meantime, I see Victoria has fetched the program list. Thank you so much.
It might be a bit too small, but this should be good enough. So we'll switch directly to the English taught programs. So once you navigate to our online program guide that you could see earlier, the link to it in our presentation, you will get an overview of each faculty. And per faculty, you will be able to see each program that they offer. If you select the English taught programs, you'll be able to see all programs that are taught in English. They will be sorted per master's, bachelor's, if any. We offer, at the moment, we only offer 4 bachelors in English. So the majority of our English taught programs are master's programs. And for instance, we could have a look at one of the master's offer programs, for instance, at the Faculty of Science. You see it's a very extensive list. So it would be rather difficult to go over it in detail. But as Vice-rector has mentioned earlier, we do offer almost nearly every discipline possible at KU Leuven. So you will find any student with almost any background should be able to find something that would be a good fit or a good match for their profile.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And I want to reassure all the participants that they will get an email, of course, with the recording of this event, and also with a link to the presentation and to the website and everything needed to get in touch with KU Leuven. So if you are interested in any specific program, do not worry, you will have all the means to access all the information after this event is done. So I would like to move to the next questions that we have in the Q&A box. And once again, if other attendees have any further questions, we are happy to take them. We still have about 20 minutes of Q&A, so we are more than happy to help you. So to move to the next question, a participant is asking, how welcoming is Belgium with non-European students? Ricardo, perhaps you would like to take this, speaking from experience, maybe?
Yes, so I am a non-European student. I come from Honduras. I speak Spanish, and I've met a lot of Spanish-speaking people here, apart from students coming from Spain. I actually thought that I was coming here to speak only English, but I speak Spanish. Basically, every day I have a lot of Latin American classmates. Yes, I mean, it's very welcoming. I've met people from every single place of the world, every continent. So it's a very international community, and apart from that, Leuven is a city where everyone speaks English, so you'll have no problem whatsoever with the language and with finding people with similar backgrounds.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. If I recall correctly, the number of nationalities is over 140
Yes.
nationalities. So indeed, I think it's a very international university for sure. To
Yeah.
move to the next questions that we have gotten, and thank you, Ricardo, for taking this one. To move to the next question, a participant is asking if it would be possible to work while studying at KU Leuven.
I will perhaps take this question. It is absolutely possible to work to combine studying and working at KU Leuven. There is a specific status that students who work can receive at KU Leuven as a working student, and we ourselves, the university, has a service, has a specific department, I would say a team, who already have a database with jobs that could be available for students. Therefore, it's quite possible to find a student job in Leuven, definitely if you're studying in Leuven, and to combine it with your studies. Of course, it doesn't mean that your job or your studies will be the cost that you pay for your work. So the studies still come first, but a lot of students do opt for instance, working in the weekend. Usually they do, sometimes they can find some kind of administrative work, but oftentimes it is these type of jobs as working at, for instance, cafes, restaurants, sometimes hotels, and the possibilities, of course, are endless, and this is absolutely possible. Yes, maybe Ricardo knows a bit more from his own experience. I don't know if you've ever worked as a student in Leuven to support what I've just said.
I've never worked as a student in Leuven, but I have a few friends, and I know a lot of people that combine work with their studies. So it's absolutely doable. It's just a matter of organization, I would say.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you both so much for this answer. So to move to the next questions and to kind of stay on the topic of career development, a participant is asking if you offer any partnerships with companies specifically for internship during the studies, I assume.
I'll also take this question. Well, it's hard to speak for the entire university because, as you can see, it's a huge university with lots of faculties, lots of programs. So this will depend on the program that you are applying for. Oftentimes, of course, each program or each faculty is responsible for establishing partnerships and offering a list of companies that students can apply for a scholarship, internship at. Sometimes it is the responsibility of the student. Sometimes it is the student who has to find the company that they would like to do an internship at. So it really varies per program, but generally it is indeed the practice that the faculty would already have a specific list or specific partners that they do cooperate with, where students can find internship opportunities at.
Thank you so much, Victoria.
I would also like to add that it's also possible to do your master's thesis with a company. And regarding the internships, you usually look the internships by yourself, and you just let the university know where you are doing your internship, who's your supervisor, and what project will you do. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. So I see in the meantime, we have gotten a couple of questions about any specific CGPA for being admitted at KU Leuven. Victoria, perhaps you can take this one.
Yeah, but I didn't catch well what question is about the GPA.
Yeah, a couple of participants are asking if there is any specific cumulative GPA that needs to be respected, if there's any threshold to be admitted.
All right, yeah. No, generally, I wouldn't say we have a general requirement that would, again, depend on the program you apply for. So I would suggest that you contact the coordinator of the program that you're interested in. I think the only actual general requirement that we have at KU Leuven is the language requirement. So students who, for instance, apply from a different country, we actually do not look at the nationality, more at the degree. If you have obtained your degree in a country that is not English speaking, or you have obtained a degree that is not obtained in an English-speaking university, you will be requested to submit a language test, an official language test, such as TOEFL or IELTS, for instance. So this is a general requirement for all programs, but as for GPA, such certificates as GPA, this will depend on a program. Usually this is a requirement that is, as far as I remember, present for programs of the Faculty of Economics and Business. But I would refrain from talking for them right now, and I would suggest that a student who wishes to gain more information on this checks the information of the program they're interested in.
Thank you so much, Victoria. So to stay on the admissions requirements, a participant is asking if the English or French language certificate, if needed, have any specific level. So you mentioned IELTS, TOEFL. Is there any bands that should be respected to get admission?
Yeah, there is a specific threshold indeed. Generally, our foreign programs, our non-Dutch programs are taught in English, so we do expect an English language certificate. Exceptionally, some students opt for studying following Dutch programs taught in Dutch. In such cases, they can, for instance, study here for 1 year, attend a language year. At the end of this year, their level of Dutch should be equal to B2 level of the Dutch language, and approximately the same counts for the English level, so at least B2 generally. However, some faculties may require even a C1 level of the English language knowledge. If I can take some time to just navigate to our webpage with the general language requirements, then we can have a look at the actual numbers expectation.
Thank you so much, Victoria. So in the meantime, I see we are getting some further questions in the Q&A box. And on that note, I want to thank all participants that have stuck with us so far. Of course, should you have any further questions, we are happy to take them and happy to guide you through and to just clear your doubts when necessary. So now I will leave the floor to Victoria once again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we on our website, general admissions website, we have information on English proficiency tests, where students can see, to begin with, which English tests are required, also which students are exempted from these tests. So yeah, students who have obtained a diploma in a program that is taught in English and in the list in these countries are exempted from submitting their language test. And other students would be expected to submit one of the tests that you can see on this webpage. As for the scores, I see that maybe in the meantime information has been. I know here you can find the minimum scores, general minimum scores per test. So if you decide if you opt for TOEFL, you will be expected to have such a minimum score, and so on. It is also indicated here that these requirements can actually vary from faculty to faculty, and you might find some stricter requirements, language requirements for the program if you're applying, for instance, at a different faculty. If I may speak for the faculty where I'm working at, which is Faculty of Engineering Science, we do expect our students to have much higher scores than these ones, but this is also made known to students when they apply to one of our programs, which expectations are when it comes to language requirements.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you for actually fetching this information for us. So we have one more question, and I don't think we touched this topic yet. A participant is asking if you offer any housing.
We have a housing service at KU Leuven who deals with all types of questions when it comes to housing. We do not distinguish between international students and local students. Normally it's one market, which students may look at, browse through to find housing that's suitable for them, or housing that's available. There are different options available. There are student residences where students can choose to live in a room in a residence, or there are different options on the private market where students can also choose to rent, for instance, a small studio or a bigger apartment. It depends what your financial possibilities are. I will also quickly navigate to our housing service website just to illustrate what I'm talking about.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And in the meantime, I wanted to inform all the participants that if they wish to request their certificate of attendance by Docsity, I am sharing the link in the chat right now. And the floor is back to you, Victoria.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, in the meantime, I've navigated to our housing service website. All the possibilities are normally listed here, all the official possibilities that are approved by KU Leuven. Of course, there are also options which students tend to opt for sometimes, such as looking for housing through Facebook groups. These are, of course, not displayed here, but this is also one of the options. But the options you can find here are those for instance, student residences and the options that are available on the private market. Usually the private market options are the ones that are approved by KU Leuven. So this offers definitely a sense of security to students that they, for instance, know whom they sign a contract, a housing contract with, and so on. Students can always reach out to directly to the housing service team to ask any type of question, not only about how to find housing and so on, but also if they have any questions. For instance, if you're about to sign a housing contract for a studio that you found online, for instance, and you are doubting whether or not this contract is fraudulent or not, whether this landlord seems reliable or not, you can always email or call our housing service team to inquire any of those questions and receive help on any topic when it comes to housing.
Thank you so much, Victoria. So this is actually a great tool, and I hope that it will be useful for any prospective applicants and students interested in studying at KU Leuven. So we do have some more questions, and I see one more question for Ricardo. Someone is asking if you made any Belgian friends other than the fellow international students. Legit question.
I actually live in my building only with Belgians. So yes, and we get along pretty well. I also practice my Dutch with them. And yes, we usually cook together at least once a week. And yeah, it's a very good environment, and yes, very
Excellent.
friendly people.
Are you taking any Dutch classes?
I took a Dutch course last
How
academic
hard
year.
was it from 1 to 100?
It was, I wouldn't say it was really hard, because I spoke a little bit of German before, so it's very similar. So
Oh, then you were starting from a point of advantage. That's nice.
yes.
That's very
Yeah.
nice. Thank you, Ricardo, for answering this question. So the last two questions we have are actually about the fee structure of the programs and the scholarships. So Victoria, I would like to ask you if we could go back to the fee information, and if we can perhaps overview that info again for the participants that joined the event later, just to wrap this up. Thank you so much.
Course. Just quickly looking for the presentation. Yeah,
Sure thing.
here it is. I'm not sure if I'm sharing it right now.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can
okay,
see your
yeah,
screen.
because
Perfect.
I've clicked on something different this time. Yeah, here is the slide on the study expenses and living expenses. As I was also explaining during my part of the presentation, that of course the general message is that your tuition fee will differ based on your nationality, whether you come from an EEA area or you're coming outside of EEA area. The tuition fee might be higher than the standard tuition fee that you can see on the slide. The standard tuition fee in Belgium or at KU Leuven is approximately 960 euros, and it can be higher for students who come outside of EEA area. However, to make it easier, our team has developed, our ICTS team has developed a calculator which you can use to calculate specific fee for your specific case based on your nationality, on the academic year you apply in, as tuition fees might grow slightly each academic year. This is usually not a significant amount, but it depends still on the academic year. And so you will calculate this fee based on your nationality and based on the program that you're applying at. There are programs that are that somewhat pricier than other programs. And there you can actually also see information on possibilities to waive a tuition fee if you come from outside of EEA area. Per faculty, you will find information on such possibilities as to receive a reduction of your tuition fee. So I would say just navigate to this tuition fee calculator tool, and there you will be able to find the exhaustive specific information for your case. And once again, as for living expenses, you can also have a look at the website that you see in the right bottom corner of the slide. But to once again summarize briefly, the accommodation, the cheapest accommodation you would be able to find in Leuven would still range between 300 to 400 euros a month. This usually will be a room in a residence. If you want a bit more comfort, if you would like to rent a private studio or so on, the price will go higher, I must admit. But do not hesitate to look at our website on that covers all kinds of financial expenses you might face while studying and living in Leuven, and there you can see what financial aspects you might face while staying here. And as for accommodation, I suggest that you also directly look at our student housing service, where you will see right away what are the possibilities, what will you be expected to pay for what kind of residence, dorm room, studio or an apartment or I might even say house, just have a look at the housing service website for the options and the year prices.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And I do want to mention that we posted the links to the studying and living in Leuven, so Money Matters link in the chat, and also the link for the tuition fees calculator. So if any of you have any specific curiosity in mind, you can check it out live. So to move to the final question, and I seem to see a pattern here. Of course, for any international student, it might be worrying, or it might seem as a huge challenge moving abroad. So I'm seeing questions about fitting in with the local culture. A participant is asking if it is very expensive for a person coming from Latin America to study in Belgium. Ricardo, do you have any insights to share about that?
I would say it's the same as everyone else. The only thing that might differ from a European student is the tuition, but the rest, housing, food, etc., it's basically the same. It might be very difficult to find some of our own food, and if you find it, it could be a little bit pricier, but in the end you have to adapt anyways. So
might as well try that local beer, right?
Oh, yes, of course.
It's worth it. So of course we are running towards the end of this event, and I do want to thank all the participants that joined us, and for all those of you who joined us later. Don't worry if you miss any information, you will get a recording via email of this event, and of course all the information to get in touch with KU Leuven. Once again, I would like to thank the Vice-rector, who unfortunately had to leave earlier before the end of the event. But I do want to express appreciation for his presence here tonight, and of course for Ricardo sharing his unique perspective and experience at KU Leuven. And Victoria, thank you so much for supporting us with all the facts and information that the participants needed. I appreciate it. So I would like to ask you if you have anything else to add before we wrap the events up.
Yes, I'm going to send the link to the chat. It's the student ambassadors link where prospective students can communicate with other students from different faculties. You can also find me there, and different faculties, different nationalities, and you can just send any questions that you have, and we will try to answer as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Victoria, would you like to add anything else?
No, I'd like to thank Lavinia for hosting this event. Thank you so much for navigating perfectly through the presentation. And I definitely agree with Ricardo. Do not hesitate to have a look at our student ambassadors webpage, where you can get all the information, anything you are interested about studying at KU Leuven. Our students will answer any of your questions.
Thank you both so much once again. And for all the participants that joined us today, I wish everyone a good day or evening according to where you are connecting from. And I hope that all of you are safe, and see you again, hopefully, for the next event in partnership with KU Leuven. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.